President Trump has been accused of profiting off of his presidency, and today a lawsuit to determine if he violated the Constitution reached its highest level thus far. At issue is the rarely used emoluments clause, which basically says the president can't accept money from a foreign state. In this case, a lawsuit filed by the attorneys general of D.C. and Maryland point to the profits brought in by the Trump International Hotel. It's just down the street from the White House. It's the landmark converted former post office building, just steps from the mall, a popular spot for visiting foreign governments. The future of this case seems uncertain right now, however. Josh Gerstein of Politico, who was in the courtroom and waiting to join us in just a moment, wrote today, quote, a federal appeals court panel was indisputably hostile Tuesday to a lawsuit accusing President Donald Trump of violating the Constitution. The uphill battle the suit faces was evident before the arguments even began, when it was revealed that all three Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals judges assigned to the case are GOP appointees. Back with us tonight, Josh Gerstein, senior legal affairs contributor for Politico. So, Josh, take us into the courtroom, starting with the entrance of these three jurists. And why was even that a surprise to counsel?
Well, counsel, I think, got their first indication of what kind of a battle this was going to be just minutes before the judges actually entered the courtroom. On some boards outside the courtroom, they post the names of the judges. And in a lot of courts, those names are available for a week or more before arguments. Fourth Circuit happens to do it this way. Maybe it's a bit old-fashioned, where you don't learn until just minutes before the argument. And it became clear that we were going to have three GOP judges, a George W. Bush appointee, a George H.W. Bush appointee, and a Trump appointee, which is a very unusual draw on the Fourth Circuit. It may become more common in the years to come as the numerous Trump appointees get onto the bench. But the Fourth Circuit is a court that had swung from being very conservative at one time following the Reagan and Bush and even Clinton years to being a fairly liberal court more recently. And so the folks from D.C. and Maryland who are challenging Trump on these emoluments issues knew they were in for a rough ride, and that's exactly what they got.
When you reach adult life, you realize that what they teach you in civics about justice being blind isn't quite the case, and it looks like you saw the display, the illustration of that today, that there are consequences following our elections. Tell folks what happens to this case now. Is whatever the Fourth Circuit determination is going to be the end of the line for this?
I think it effectively could be the end of the line. Obviously, these three judges, whatever resolution they come to, which I think will be throwing a significant hurdle in front of this case, discovery, depositions, and subpoenas in this case are already on hold. It could be taken to the broader bench of the Fourth Circuit, but that all takes time. And there are several other cases like this that also seem to be moving at a rather glacial pace. And I have to say, after listening to the arguments and seeing some of the lawyers involved here, the Attorney General of Maryland came in the courtroom, and when he saw that panel, he literally slapped his hand against his forehead in disbelief. And his colleague from D.C. said to him, keep your head up, keep your head up. So it was pretty clear that they're facing a very tough road to hoe here. And I really do wonder if the action on this emoluments issue may now move to the House of Representatives, because they do have subpoena power. And even if the White House may be able to obstruct those kinds of subpoenas, businesses, even like the Trump Organization, will have a harder time, I think, fighting a congressional action like that.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.